Before I tell you why those tunnels really do get longer every single night, and before I give you the honest $3 fix that actually ends it, please do me one small favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel because it costs you nothing and it helps get the truth to other folks who are standing at their window right now watching their lawn come apart and feeling like they are losing. Now settle in, pour yourself a cup of coffee, and stay with me to the end because the most important thing I am going to tell you tonight is not the fix. It is the one fact about what is actually happening under your grass that is going to take a weight off your shoulders. Because I promise you, it is not nearly as bad as it looks. Let me start with the fear because I know it by heart and I think you are living in it right now. You go out one morning and there is a ridge. You flatten it, you tell yourself it is handled, and the next morning there are two more running off in a different direction. And the morning after that, a fresh mound of dirt over by the fence where there was nothing before. And a feeling starts to creep in, a horrible little feeling that this thing is growing, that while you sleep, down there in the dark, something is spreading, night after night, tunnel after tunnel, and that if you do not stop it soon, your whole lawn is going to be hollowed out from underneath. And you start to picture a colony down there, an army, dozens of them, breeding, digging, multiplying, working in shifts to destroy everything you have built. And that picture, my friends, is the thing keeping you up at night. So let me take that picture and tear it in half right now, in the first few minutes, because you deserve the truth, and the truth is going to help you sleep. Yes, the tunnels really are spreading every night. That part is true, but here is what is almost certainly not happening. It is not an army, it is not a colony, it is not dozens of them multiplying under your feet. In the overwhelming majority of cases, everything you are looking at, every ridge, every mound, every fresh run that appeared overnight, is the work of one animal. One, a single mole, and in some cases, maybe two. Now I know that sounds impossible. I know it looks like 50 of them held a convention out there. But you have to understand what a mole actually is, because once you do, the whole thing stops being terrifying and starts being manageable. A mole is a digging machine. That is not a figure of speech. It is the literal truth of the animal. He is a torpedo of muscle with two enormous shovels for hands. And digging is not something he does now and then. It is the thing he does all day and all night, his entire life. A single mole can tunnel up to 100 feet in one day in soft ground. 100 feet in a day by himself. And he works a territory of several acres all alone. Because moles are not social animals. They do not live in happy little colonies. The truth is very nearly the opposite. Moles are loners, and they are territorial, and outside of the brief season when they breed, a grown mole will not tolerate another one in his patch. He will fight. So the idea of an army of them cooperating under your lawn is biologically almost the reverse of the truth. What you have is one solitary, antisocial little animal who happens to be an absolute machine at his one job, and his one job leaves a mark. So yes, it spreads every night, because he digs every night, because that is what he is. But it is one fellow, and one fellow can be dealt with, and I am going to show you how for about the price of a coffee. And let me answer the question that is probably nagging at you right now, which is why it always seems to happen at night. Why you go to bed with the lawn one way and wake up with it another. And the answer is rather simple and rather sweet in its way. A mole spends most of his life underground in total darkness, so day and night mean very little to him. He works in shifts around the clock, a few hours digging, a few hours resting, over and over. But he is most active in the cool, quiet hours, early morning and evening, and especially after rain, when the ground is soft and damp and the worms have come up close to the surface to escape the wet. So the heavy digging often does happen while you sleep, not because he is sneaking around behind your back, but because the small, cool hours are simply when the digging is easiest and the hunting is best. He is not plotting against you in the dark. He is just a hungry little animal doing his best work when the conditions suit him. But first, there is a second half to this, and it is the part that will really set your mind at ease, because a good chunk of what you are seeing is not even new. Here is something almost nobody understands about how a mole works, and it changes everything. Most of those tunnels out there are dead, abandoned. He is never coming back to them. Let me explain, because this is the single most useful thing you will learn tonight. When a mole hunts, he does not know where the food is. He cannot see it, he lives in the dark. So he digs exploratory tunnels, prospecting runs, pushing out in every direction, feeling for his dinner. And what is his dinner? Not your grass. Not your bulbs, not even the grubs, whatever the fellow at the store told you. What a mole is hunting above all else on this earth is the earthworm. Earthworms are his meat and potatoes. So he drives these prospecting tunnels out through the soil looking for worms. And here is the key. When a tunnel comes up empty, he abandons it. He never goes back. It just sits there, a raised ridge in your lawn, dead and empty, going nowhere. But when a tunnel hits a rich seam of worms, he keeps it. He patrols that one every single day. That is his highway. So when you look out at that spider web of ridges crossing your lawn and your heart sinks, understand what you are actually looking at. You are not looking at a live growing network that is all in use. You are looking at mostly dead ends. Old failed prospecting runs he dug once and walked away from, sitting there accumulating in your view night after night, making it look like the whole thing is alive and growing. But the live part, the part that actually matters, is usually just one or two runs, his highways. And that, my friends, is the whole secret to beating him, because it means you do not have to fight the whole lawn. You just have to find the one tunnel he is actually using and deal with him there. So let me tell you exactly how to find it. And this part costs you nothing at all. Not 1 penny, and it is the step almost everybody skips, which is precisely why almost everybody fails. It is called the active tunnel test, and here is how you do it. Walk your yard, and at every raised ridge you can find, gently press a section of it flat with your foot. Just step down and squash the roof of the tunnel closed. Then mark that spot, a stick, a golf tee, one of those little garden flags, whatever you have got. Do that at every ridge in the lawn. And then walk away and leave it completely alone for a full day, 24 hours. Now here is the patience part, the part that separates the folks who win from the folks who lose, because I know how badly you want to march out there and do something dramatic. Do not. Just wait the day. Then go back out and look at your markers. Most of them will still be flat, dead. He is not there. He is never coming back to those. You can forget them entirely, but one or maybe two will be pushed right back up, popped up like new, as though you never touched them, because in the night he came through, found his highway caved in, and repaired it, because he needs it, because that is the run with the worms. And that right there is the jackpot. That is his front door. That is the only spot on your entire property that matters, and you found it with nothing but your boot and a day of patience. Now, before I give you the fix, let me stop and be honest with you the way I always do on this channel, because you have probably tried some things already, and I do not want you throwing good money after bad. And before any of that, do me one favor and make absolutely sure you are dealing with a mole at all, because treating for the wrong animal guarantees that nothing you do will work, and this trips up more people than you would believe. A mole pushes up those raised ridges and the volcano-shaped mounds of soil. He lives down below. He almost never comes to the surface. And he does not touch your plants, because he is not after them, he is after the worms. His cousin, the vole, is a different animal entirely, more like a little mouse, and he runs in shallow surface paths worn into the grass, leaves small open holes, and he does chew on your plants and gnaw the bark of your young trees. Raised tunnels and dirt volcanoes and untouched plants, that is a mole, and everything I am telling you tonight is for you. Surface trails and chewed up plants, that is a vole, a different fellow for a different day. All right, if you have been out there with the garden hose flooding the tunnels, stop. It does not work. A mole swims better than he digs, and he will simply paddle away and come back. If you have bought those battery-powered sonic spikes that buzz in the ground, I am sorry, but the studies are brutal. He gets used to the vibration in a day or two the way you stop hearing the clock tick in your own hallway, and then he digs right past it. If somebody sold you a big bag of grub killer and told you it would starve the moles out, that is the most expensive mistake in the whole business. Because he is not eating your grubs, he is eating your earthworms, and there will still be thousands of those in your soil after you treat it. Chewing gum, mothballs, human hair, broken glass, none of it does a thing except, in some cases, poison your own yard. I have covered all of these in other videos, and I will not spend your whole evening on them again. But I had to say it, because the fellow who is panicking about his lawn spreading every night is exactly the fellow these products are designed to separate from his money. All right, so you have found the active tunnel. Now comes the fix, and here is where I keep the promise in the title, and I am going to keep it honestly, because honest is the only way I know how to do this. There are two versions of the fix, and I am going to give you both and tell you the plain truth about each, and then you can choose the one that suits you. The first is the $3 fix, and it is for the folks who, for whatever reason, do not want to kill the animal, and I understand that completely. He is a harmless little thing just trying to eat, and there is no shame at all in not wanting to trap him. Here it is: plain castor oil and a squirt of ordinary dish soap mixed into water. That is it. The castor oil is the one repellent on this earth that actually has real research behind it. Unlike every gadget and granule in that store aisle, and the ingredients cost you about the price of a coffee, which is where your $3 goes. And let me tell you exactly how it works, because the how is rather clever and it tells you what to expect. It does not hurt the mole. What it does is soak into the soil along his runs and make the earthworms and grubs he is hunting taste absolutely foul. You have ruined his dinner, and a mole eats a tremendous amount every single day, nearly his own body weight. He cannot afford a yard where the food tastes wrong, so he packs up and goes to hunt somewhere the eating is good. You mix it up, you soak it into that active run you found, and along the edges of your property, especially after you have watered or after a light rain when the ground will carry it down, and you give it a few days. Now here is the honest part, and I will never lie to you to make a fix sound better than it is. This does not kill him, and it does not, strictly speaking, remove him. What it does is drive him off your patch. For a great many of you, that genuinely ends the problem, because he leaves your lawn and he does not come back. And from where you are standing at your kitchen window, that is a win, that is over. But I will be straight with you about two things. One, he has to go somewhere, and that somewhere might be your neighbor's yard, which is a solution of a sort, but perhaps not a very neighborly one. And two, it washes away with heavy rain, so it is not one and done. You may need to freshen it up, and a really determined mole in a really wormy lawn might decide your yard is worth putting up with a bad taste for. So that is the honest verdict on the $3 fix. Cheap, safe around your pets and your grandchildren, harmless to the animal, genuinely effective at pushing him off your lawn. And the right first move for anybody who does not want to trap. But if you want it truly, permanently, provably over, then you want the second version of the fix, and it is nearly as cheap. A mole trap. The harpoon kind that spears down into the run, or the scissor kind that closes across it. $15, maybe $20 at any hardware store. And here is the part the whole gadget aisle would rather you never worked out. You buy it once, one time. It will last you 20 years, and you will hand it down to your son. Compare that to a jug of repellent every few weeks, a bag of grub killer every season, a set of sonic spikes that die in the weather year after year after year. That one trap is by a country mile the cheapest thing in this entire story, and it is the only method that agricultural extension services and honest professionals actually recommend, because it is the only one that removes the animal instead of just annoying him or relocating him. And it is the only one that gives you proof when that trap is sprung. You know, you are not standing at the window a week later wondering whether he is gone, whether the quiet is real, whether he is just off in the far corner regrouping. You know, you set it right in that one active run you found with the flattening test, following the simple instructions that come in the packet, and you check it every single day. Both because you want to know and because checking a trap daily is the responsible thing, and in many places the lawful thing too. If a couple of days go by and nothing happens, that run may have gone quiet, so you do the flattening test again, find the new active one, and move the trap. That is the whole job. Now, whichever fix you choose, the $3 one or the $15 one. There is one more step, and it is the one that stops this whole nightmare from ever starting again. And it is free. You have to ask yourself why he chose your lawn in the first place. And the answer, almost always, is that your lawn is a better restaurant than the ones around it. Moles go where the worms are, and worms go where the soil is soft and moist and rich. So if you have got a low spot in your yard that never quite drains, a patch that stays spongy underfoot after it rains, a sprinkler that runs a little too long every evening, that constant wet is a neon sign in a mole's world, because wet soil is soft and easy to dig, and it brings the worms right up into the top few inches where he hunts. You're not going to get rid of your earthworms, and heaven forbid you should try. They are one of the best things that can happen to your soil. But you can dry out that swamp, fix the drainage in the low spot, ease off the sprinkler, break up soil that stays waterlogged. And once you have done that, your yard quietly stops being the best restaurant on the street. And the next lonely little digger who comes prospecting through the neighborhood finds your ground hard and dry and poor, and he moves along to somewhere easier, and he never becomes your problem at all. And once the current fellow is gone, do not leave the mess he made, because that is the thing that has been breaking your heart every morning. Take a rake, or just your boot, and flatten every one of those ridges back down. Press the soil firmly so the grass roots make contact with the earth again, and give those areas a good watering for a week or two. And here's the good news that should genuinely lift your spirits, because I suspect you have been mourning your lawn. A mole does not usually do permanent damage if you deal with him within a few weeks. That pale, dying, spongy grass over the tunnels is mostly not dead. It is just lifted up away from the soil so the roots dried out. And once you press it back down and water it, in the great majority of cases, it greens right back up, as though nothing ever happened. A stubborn bare patch takes a handful of grass seed and a little time, and it fills right in. Your lawn is not ruined. It looks ruined, but it is not. It is going to come back. So let me pull the whole thing together for you, because I want you to walk away tonight feeling the opposite of how you felt when you sat down. You came in picturing an army multiplying under your feet, an unstoppable thing spreading in the dark, your lawn slowly being hollowed out and lost. And the truth is almost the reverse. It is one solitary little animal, antisocial, alone, who happens to be very good at digging. Most of what you are seeing is dead, abandoned tunnels he will never use again. The live part is 1 or 2 runs, and you can find them in a single day with nothing but your foot. And you can end it for about the price of a coffee if you are willing to push him off your land, or for the price of one trap bought once in your life if you want it proven and permanent. And the damage you have been grieving is, in all likelihood, going to heal. That is the real picture. And I want to leave you with the thought underneath all of it, because I think it is bigger than moles, and I think it is why this particular problem gets so far under people's skin. It is the not knowing that does it. It is standing at that window, seeing a fresh ridge, and letting your imagination fill in the dark with an army, with a colony, with a disaster growing beyond your control. The fear was never really about the one little animal. The fear was about the picture you painted of what you could not see. And that is true of so much more than moles, is it not? So much of what steals our sleep is not the thing itself, but the version of it we build in the dark, always bigger and worse and more hopeless than the reality. And the cure, out here in the real world, is almost always the same. You go and you look, you do the quiet, patient, unglamorous thing, you press the ridges flat, and you wait a day, and you find out what is actually true. And nearly every time, what is actually true is smaller and more manageable than the monster you imagined. One mole, one tunnel, one coffee's worth of castor oil, or one trap that outlives you. That is the whole thing you have been losing sleep over. So let me ask you, and I would truly love to read your answers down in the comments. When you first saw those tunnels, how many moles did you picture down there? Be honest. Because I think most of us imagine a whole army, and the truth is one lonely fellow. And have you tried the flattening test yet? Or is tonight the first you have heard of it? Because I would love to know how many of you go out tomorrow and find that one active run. And what is the worst your lawn ever looked before it came back? Because somebody out there is grieving a yard right now, and your story of recovery might be exactly the hope they need. And where in the world are you watching from tonight? Because it always amazes us to see how far these tips travel and how many folks are out there wrestling with the very same little velvet troublemaker. If this took a weight off your shoulders, please hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss part 2, where I will show you how to read those tunnels like a professional and find that one active run on the very first try, every time without even waiting the day. And if you would like to support this channel directly, the account number where you can send any contribution at all is right there in the description below this video. And every single one is deeply appreciated and goes straight back into making these guides for you. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and that lawn of yours. And remember this, the thing spreading under your grass every night is real, but it is one small animal doing one small job. And the monster was only ever in the dark you could not see into.